People love to sell their soul to the devil to be rich and famous, but which ones were the best? We got it all in today's top 10 list. Coming in at number 10, Robert Jonson. One of the most famous situations of someone selling their soul to the devil. It would seem that he kind of got a raw deal, because even though this dude became one of the best jazz players of all time, he died at 27. Dude, if I'm selling my soul to the devil, you better believe that I'm going to want to live a full life. Like, you get my soul for eternity after I die. The least you can do is let me enjoy the deal until I'm in my 90s, and I want to be a good 90. Like, I want to be able to run around like I'm Jack LaLanne. But rumor has it that Jonson was horrible at the guitar before he made his deal with the devil. Back then when he played music, it was so bad that cats would scream and people would throw stuff at him. Then he left for a while, went to the mysterious crossroads, and came back a god of the guitar. He might have just found a teacher who was willing to show him how to use the tools that he was given that unlock his God-given powers to play the axe like a legend. Or maybe he did go down the easy road and got the devil to hook him up with some unholy powers to juice the whole thing up a little bit. Either way, if I was him, I would have played into the rumor, because it would have made you more popular. Everyone would want to come see the man who sold his soul to the devil to play like a god. They would want to know what the devil could give you. Coming in at number 9, we have Guissepi Tartini. This is really how you reach legendary status. Just like Robert Jonson, you want to be a person so good at your craft that the only way people can justify it is by saying that you made a deal with the devil, that you are so unreal at ripping down what you do that you must have done some dirty work to get that good. That's what I want for my life. I want people to be like, this dude was for sure on some performance enhancers, or he was using black magic, because there's no way that anyone could be that good at what this guy did. That's what happened with Guissepi. This dude was ripping through the violin so good that people were like, the devil must have hooked him up with some good juice. People thought that he could have had 6 fingers on one hand that allowed him to play notes that no one else could ever play. The story goes that Guissepi woke up and the devil was sitting on the edge of his bed just ripping the violin. Like, the dude was so legendary at the violin that Guissepi was awestruck. Then the devil just vanished. Guissepi quickly wrote down everything he could remember from the song, and that became the Devil's Trill Sonata. It blew people away and everyone was breaking down to that song. It was so sick. But Guissepi said the song that the devil played was even more legendary and was super lit. Those were his exact words. Coming in at number 8, we have Christain Bale, one of the greatest actors of our generation. How does he do it? Well, it must be the devil. I'm starting to see a pattern here. It seems like back in the day, people used to say the best people must have sold their soul to the devil in order to become great, because how else could they do it? Nowadays, if you become rich and famous, you are part of the Illuminati, which worships the devil. I mean, it's the only logical answer, right? It's not like people just work really hard and then they are able to achieve things that no other person ever could. There's no way that these speculations could be coming from people who haven't achieved anything of substance, looking up at the people above them and then creating insane dialogue so they can cope with their inadequacies. No, that could never be the case. But in the case of Christain Bale, he did actually thank the devil in one of his Golden Globe speeches, which is pretty sus. I mean, he was probably just trying to stir the pot because he knows that people will freak out if he says something like that, or maybe the dude does believe in the devil. I don't know. Alright, coming in the next spot, we have Johann Faust. Unlike the other people on this list so far, this dude is a legendary bad guy. Faust was a teacher, professor, and one of the smartest people of his generation. He was alive in the 1500s, and back then he had one goal and one goal only. That was to become the smartest man alive. He wanted people to bow down to him and his genius, and he wanted the recognition that he believed he deserved. Because of this, he had an ego the size of Jupiter and thought that everyone was beneath him. He would beat his students, and he was known for being rude to everyone around him. Now, I don't know if it's because this guy was so mean or if it's because he was really into magic, but people thought that he was working with the devil. I guess if you're mean and you like magic, there would be nothing stopping you from getting into the dark arts. People even thought that this guy's dog was a demon, that it walked around, a demonic dog, and tried to attack people, and when no one was looking, it would morph into a human that would serve Faust. Eventually, the dude died, and it was the spectacular fashion in which this dude died which solidified him as someone who worked with the devil. His lab exploded, and the dude died in a ball of flames. The rumor says that there was a pair of hoof prints burned into the floorboards. Coming number 6, we have Niccolo Paganini. Man, back in the day, if you could rip the violin that good, people thought you must have been up to some funny business. There is no way you could get that good just off of skill and hard work. No way at all. Niccolo Paganini was very young when he picked up the violin. At only age 11, he was would touch the instrument for the first time, and right away it would seem that he was destined to be one of the best in the world. When he was still a teenager, he was performing in front of hundreds of people. This guy was definitely a prodigy, but as we have learned, the theme of this list is that people can't trust you if you start to get too good. So there was talk that this dude sold his soul to the devil. People said that he would perform rituals to make himself more powerful, and that he even used dark magic to infuse a soul into his violin so it would sound even more beautiful. People say they saw the devil come out of him and stand next to him when he played. The kicker to this was that he didn't want to be blessed before he died. This was something that was very common back in the day. People wanted a priest to give them some sort of magic so they could go up and hang out with God, but Paganini denied this. Maybe because he knew he was going to hell and it was going to be way cooler and way more fun than going to heaven. Coming in number 5, we have Jimmy Page, once again hitting it with a legendary musician. It would be no surprise that the lead guitarist of Led Zeppelin, one of the greatest rock bands in the world, has suspicions circling around him that he made a deal with the devil. I mean, when rock and roll was coming up, everyone was saying that it was the devil's music. Well, then the devil has great taste, that's all I'm saying. But there's a little more juice to this than Republicans in the 70s being afraid that music was going to bring the end of the world. The thing is, Jimmy was actually a huge fan of the occult and apparently was very open about following the teachings to try and get better at guitar. Hey man, if you're trying to make it to the top, there isn't really anything wrong you can do as long as you're not hurting anyone. Cast a spell from a book to make those fingers move as fast as you can so you're always on the cutting edge of music. And all this came together when apparently you could hear the devil speak when you played Stairway to Heaven backwards. Yeah, I don't think that is true, but people love to think that the devil is hiding in rock and roll. Coming in number 4, we have Snoop Dogg. Yeah, Snoop D-O-double-G. This dude is a legend. Could you imagine you're so much of a legend that you became one of the best rappers of all time? You started popping into movies, you change your name to Snoop Lion for a bit, you become a commentator for a Mike Tyson fight, and you become best friends with Martha Stewart after she goes to jail. This dude has lived a life that would put most people to shame. Now, how has he been able to be so legendary? Was it skill? Was it luck? Was it coming up with his own language that people would actually learn to speak? Well, no, it was of course a deal with the devil, guys. Apparently in a song, Snoop talks about a voice coming into him and telling him to make a deal, and if he took the deal, he would live eternal and forever. Not a bad deal if you ask me. Coming in number 3, we have Urbain Grandier. It should be no surprise that the church has some weird things going on inside its walls. I mean, we know that it's full of creeps today that are doing horrible things, so someone who worships the devil is kind of small potatoes compared to the other things that are going on. Now, Urbain was ahead of his time when it came to being a horrible person in the church. He was apparently summoning the devil all the time and had magical powers. He would put curses on people he didn't like, and there was even a contract found that was said to be signed by the devil, and it was used against him in court. Could you imagine today, someone finds a fake contract and then they use it against you to put you in prison? Lol, that is great. Coming in number 2, we have Antonio Rose. This case of selling your soul to the devil was so famous that it impacted the culture of witches forever. So Rose was living back in the 1400s, and she wasn't doing well. She was trying to take care of her kid, but her husband had left, so she had to do whatever she could to try and keep this kid alive. Apparently the stress of just trying to stay alive started to wear on her, and she started to indulge in psychedelic drugs that you could rub on your skin. She was seen rubbing it on a broom handle and then riding it like you see witches do in popular culture today. Eventually people started to make claims that she was a witch and working with the devil when she attacked someone who came close to her home. She was arrested and convicted of being a witch and selling her soul to the devil. And coming at the number 1 spot, we have John Moulton. Now this one takes the number 1 spot just because it's funny. Apparently John Moulton was ready to sell his soul to the devil, but he had a plan. See, if you look through the history of the devil, he isn't the hardest dude to outsmart. John made a deal with the Prince of Darkness that he would sell his soul if the devil came and filled his boots with gold. The devil was like, heck yes, but then the devil came to do his job and he found that Moulton had put his boots at the top of a chimney and cut out the bottoms. Basically, if the devil wanted to fill the boots with gold, he would have had to fill the whole chimney. And the devil hates being tricked, so he burned his house down. Basically, it's the same thing when traders on Wall Street bets learn how to make money off of the stock market, and then Robin Hood stopped them from trading because the devil can never lose. Alright guys, that has been your list. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Jay Reno. Catch you on the next one. Bye. Okay. Fake this intro. Okay.
You need the title?
Oh, I don't need the title because we don't do titles anymore. Okay.